Your question was about a model for individual and collective transformation. With that?
Yeah, I said personal transformation. Let's start there. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to separate them. So there is no personal transformation outside of the collective.
Wow.
And there is no collective transformation outside of the individual.
Right.
So
they're one and the same.
They're actually one. Well, if you're going to get to non-duality, it's not just me and you or one. You know, it's that the collective exists here.
Yes.
And in a sense, in a very real sense, our own individual consciousness is the center of our world.
Yes.
And so as the center of our world, how we hold the world in consciousness has very broad-ranging effects. So that is the entree into the model, which is very simple. It's not like I came up with this, but it's the only model, I think, that has true relevance today. And I think it's the one model that I've come across that makes the most sense intuitively, and emphasizes another ideal of holistic medicine, which is personal responsibility. So, in short, the external world is a reflection of human consciousness. That's not like that's not like a bizarre concept these days. So that the external out-picturing or out-manifestation in world circumstances is the out-manifestation and out-picturing of the state of human consciousness. This is pretty basic stuff. And therefore, the whole game is about changing human consciousness. That's kind of like, postmodern spirituality 101. And so where the rubber meets the road, and this is interesting, is that our greatest leverage for creating collective change is the depth of our own inner transformation. So again, not a strange concept perhaps to some, but it emphasizes the importance of personal work as the primary, this is the thing, the primary means of collective transformation.
Wow, that's a big claim.
It is a big claim, so maybe that part's a little bit of a stretch.
Well, that's not to agree or disagree, but just to make sure people kind of get what you're saying there, that people's inner work, what they're doing on themselves, is actually potentially their greatest gift to the collective. As our friend David Lesser has taught me, it's actually 99% of our service in the world is our own internal transformation. Wow. And that leaves 1% for the one-on-one work, which has been most of my life for the past 21 years is in clinical practices, one-on-one in a room with a patient. And then so that's some part of the 1% that's left. And the other part of the 1% that's left is working with groups. Which is emerging into most of my life these days as a speaker and writer and all of that. You're working with more groups. So this is, kind of a big deal because... And just for clarity on the 99.1, you're not suggesting that people spend 99% of their time on that, but like 99% of their impact and value will be from that.
It's priority. So it's just 99% of the priority, because I don't think there's... Well, I don't want to get too, apocalyptic about this, but I don't think there's time for one-to-one kind of horizontal, like you and I going out on Broadway, trying to wake people up one by one, handing them pamphlets, books, literature, DVDs, come on, you got to get it. You're a divine being. You should remember that and act that way. And, remember the law.
We haven't been doing this, but...
We haven't been doing this. But if we did, it would have some effect, And again, this is a real, challenge for me, because my calling now is speaking.
Yes.
And publishing and writing and all this like this horizontal group stuff where I'm working with groups is like my main gig right now.
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself that that's not where the primary action is. But if I'm attending to the 99%, if I'm taking very seriously my own inner spiritual transformational work,
yes,
then when I show up at a gig, at a speaking engagement, Deanna's trying to get me out of the gig.
Were you just back from a 5-day speaking tour?
Yeah, I just came back from, that was intense. But if I'm attending to my own inner work, then when I show up in front of a group, it has immense weight.
Yes.
It has potency. It has embodied authenticity. I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah.
And even if I'm talking about like a clinical topic like heart disease, which is my most commonly requested topic,
is it?
Then there's something that's coming through me, at least vibrationally, in presence.
Yes.
That probably not the conscious mind of most people will sense, but it will be a felt depth, presence, and authenticity because I've been doing my own work.
Yeah.
So that's the other benefit. So there's two levels. You do the internal work, and we're inextricably linked to the rest of the consciousness of humanity.
Yes.
So what we do for the whole.
Yes.
And if I'm working with shame in myself, which has been which is kind of the global human primary wound, is shame, born of separation. Then, as I'm clearing through shame, working through shame, processing or meeting the experience of shame in divine identity, then I'm not just meeting that for me, I'm meeting that for everyone working with that pattern, which happens to be every human being on the face of the earth. I could be working with less global patterns of, doubt.
Yes.
Self-doubt. Okay. Pretty common thing. So as I meet that in myself, I'm meeting it for the whole. So that's all like level of significance number one of this 99-1 model. Is that what I meet in myself, I meet for the whole, especially those working with that same pattern.
Yes.
Okay. Part two is when you do one-on-one work with others, as many of us do, healing arts, coaching, transformational facilitation, mentoring, spiritual guidance, teaching, whatever. Then there's something that can come through of greater depth, potency, and authenticity because that I've been doing my work. And then in groups, same basic principle. So those are the two reasons why this is significant. Is because of the global web of interconnected consciousness, and the second is giving depth to our work in the world.